Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Oh, okay. I am Rare Womack, and I have a couple of poems here. I want to start off with an introduction to me. Then I'd like to go into women that I admire. Then I'd like to go into what I call the power of a woman, and end with, well, you'll see. This first one is called An Open Book. Some take one look at me and say that I am bitter and mean. Not quite sure what they heard or what they may have seen. My life's a book wide open for the whole wide world to see, and for that reason, their opinions don't really bother me. I live my life quite simply, and that, my friends, the key that keeps me focused during attempts of others judging me. Deciding my temperament before introduction is not how it should be. You'd be surprised what you can learn if you take the time to be interested. Power of a woman. My maternal great-grandmother loved me. Though I didn't have the privilege of spending a huge amount of time with her, I felt her love with everything she did and said. Not just for me, but for my mother as well. My paternal grandmother prayed for me. She prayed for all of her grandchildren and has had such an impact on my life. She lived to love, she lived to nurture, she lived to make a difference, and she did. I can't say that I miss that daily dose of castor oil, but I'd give almost anything for another one of her hugs. A maternal grand aunt would make sure family stayed centered. All birthdays were recognized and celebrated. Going to church was a must, and anything outside of truth would not be tolerated. Any form of disrespect or unruly behavior would be met with a red strap. The home of a paternal aunt, and this is my auntie right here. The home of a paternal aunt was always open and welcoming. I was and am always left in awe of her knowledge of our family and of our history. Through her, I was able to see and appreciate our accomplishments. Because of her, I am continually reminded of our strengths. I am continually reminded of my strengths. And I am continually reminded that not only does she love me, but God loves me too. I have a maternal aunt that was more like a big sister to me. She would keep me abreast of what was current, whether it was news, fashion, or the latest dances. Through her, I learned that there were always room for fun after church and chores. I learned to respect others as well as myself. She taught me that there was always more than one way to view a situation. She taught me empathy. The outside, excuse me, the outside me always respected her as an aunt, but the inside me still feels she's a big sister. And then there's the woman that I learned the most from, and who helped me shape and appreciate the person that I am, my mom. Because of her, I learned to love unconditionally. I learned the importance of being truthful and sincere. I learned that it's okay to make mistakes. Her strength made me strong. Her struggles as a single mom showed me that everything and anything is possible. She encouraged me to do the things that made me happy. She prepared me to be strong and independent without even knowing it. My mother kept to herself. She was a private woman who bothered no one, but she was God-fearing, hardworking, and willing to help anyone in need. She was my best friend, my rock. I celebrate these women. They remain in the forefront of all of my decisions, and I stand here proud to be an example of their love. Thank you. Ooh, that got me a little teary-eyed, y'all. Sorry. That's my auntie, y'all. Okay. Get out. Get out, she says. I hear her clearly, but I'm not moving. Why should I? Everyone has bad days. Get out, she says. I dismiss her words. It's all right. She doesn't understand that we all have our unique ways. Get out, she says. I don't pay attention because there's too much to do before he gets here. Get out, she says. I wish she'd leave me alone. I couldn't leave if I wanted to. He's made that perfectly clear. Get out, she says. I pretend I'm deaf. I stay busy hoping she won't see the bruises on my face. Get out, she says. I block her completely out. So much to remember. I have to keep this a calm place. Get out, she says. I wish you'd leave me alone. This is irritating. It's getting hard for me to concentrate. Get out, she says. You deserve much more. Don't ignore me. The next time might be too late. Wiping his clippings from the bathroom sink, I accidentally see her in the mirror. I hardly recognized her beneath that worn-out, bruised exterior, now feeling inferior, a dramatic change from once holding a superior place in his heart. When did this start? The seclusion, the numbness, his demeaning ways has torn my world apart, and I allowed it. Forgetting my strength, I allowed it. Forgetting my self-worth, I allowed it. Forgetting that I am a queen among queens, I allowed it. I see you now, and I'm finally free. This last poem I'm going to do is called A People Divided. And this is more of my inner screams and what I think about on a daily basis. Sitting in my car, and I do that a lot, people can attest to that. Sitting in my car, watching snowflakes casually make their way to rest, I'm thinking about how we as a people lack respect. Time and technology has groomed a lot of us to becoming uncaring, immune to emotions, and devastatingly cold toward each other. For 2 hours, I reflected on the racism I encountered as a child growing up with Project Concern. I thought about Gail and her journalistic way of desecrating a legend. I remembered how just last week I was unable to pull to the side of the road when a funeral procession passed. No one cared. People are consumed with self-preservation, forgetting that alone they accomplish absolutely nothing. What happened to unity? Let's ask Terry, who concerned himself more with holding on to a job than standing up for a people. Or Jussie, who used an already heated slogan during angered political times to help increase his popularity and income. Let's ask the mulatto man, who has no time for black pride until it's beneficial for his purpose. And the dark-skinned woman who resents her lighter-skinned sisters for days of old. I thought about the multiple divisions in our communities. Not only are we divided by race, there is also age division, political division, religious division, gender division, economic division, academic division, social division, and so on. It's never ending and won't come remotely close to ending until we, as a conscious people, decide that enough is enough. I'm both saddened and angered every time an elder is disrespected. Every time a woman is beaten or called out of her name. Every time a loved one has transitioned and can't rest peacefully. Every time a person needing special care is ridiculed or mocked. Every time people of color are tortured and or killed just because. I thought about how our younger generation has no idea that eye-to-eye contact is a physical term. Their brains are now tied and fried to the internet and the almighty Apple. Relationships begin with a swipe, are maintained with Skype, and end with the touch of a finger. We can easily find lawyers who have no respect for the law, doctors who care more about how much they're inconvenienced than the welfare of their patients, police who are finding reasons to use people for target practice, pharmaceutical companies that would rather produce addicts than to lose a dollar. The wealthy and elite are finding no fault or shame and plowing over our indigenous people to stake claim or take credit for their ill-gotten gains. Gigantic chain stores will have the poor and hungry jailed before offering scraps of the tons of food that they throw away every week. We are a people who effortlessly disrespect each other on many platforms, levels, and degrees. Before finally getting out of my car, I wondered what kind of difference I could make. I wondered how many like-minded people there were who shared my disdain for disrespect. I wondered if sharing my thoughts would raise awareness. Well, does it?
Yeah.